for tuning in. My name is Alli. I'm one of the yoga teachers for the Commons Climbing Gym. As some of you may know, the Commons is offering short yoga and climbing tutorials during this time. So this is a part of the yoga series, and our hopes in offering this is to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to practice these poses safely and give you guys some alignment pointers and some exercises that you can be mindful of while you're doing these. Today we'll be focusing on down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and while it seems like a really easy pose, it's actually one of the more complicated in that it offers us so much for us to be mindful to. There's a lot of different places in our body that we can be drawing our attention to make sure that we're in the right alignment and we're working the right muscles, we're relaxing the right muscles, what have you. It's also a really good pose for lowering our blood pressure, for kind of giving us a new perspective on things. The blood kind of goes to our head, so it's an inversion, and inversions kind of innately give us a new perspective on things, right? Like we're upside down, we're seeing things literally differently. So these types of poses can be really helpful in times where you just need a new perspective on things. So I hope that this will serve you guys in both your physical alignment practice and your spiritual mental practice as well. So to begin, my background is heavily in alignment, so I really like to pay attention to the body to make sure that we're in the right alignment, right structure, right? So we don't hurt ourselves, and so we can find that stability within the body. So then we can start to relax and start to reap some of those benefits that the asanas provide us. So first we'll be focusing on our shoulder girdle. We all know what the shoulders are. So our shoulder girdle incorporates our shoulders. It also incorporates our clavicle, our sternum, our rib cage. And so by nature, it also kind of incorporates our spine, right? So it's kind of like this whole upper body area. Specifically, what we will be drawing our attention to today during this first part is this upper part right here. So between the shoulder blades in general, the shoulders, and then we'll begin to shift our attention down to our lower back because it is, again, all connected. So we'll start in Virasana, or kneeling. So I invite you to go ahead and bring your knees, shins on the ground, and we want to make sure that our toes are all pressed onto the ground and all of our toes are pointed straight behind us. Our big toes are together and our heels are pretty close together. Our knees are straight in line with our heels and in line with our hips. And then go ahead and grab this extra flesh from your butt and pull it out. Even if you don't think you have any there, you do, I promise. So go ahead and take it out and really try to kind of pull it. So you should feel your sit bones kind of hook your heel bones. And you'll kind of, your lower back gets to relax a little bit because it's nice and stable. So we'll begin here. Go ahead and relax your shoulders away from your ears and just take a few shoulder circles. You can relax your arms down. Taking big shoulder circles, starting to drop into your body, noticing how you're feeling. Go ahead and reverse the direction. And take those nice and wide. And then come back and gently set those shoulder blades back into their little sockets. And then bring those arms out in front of you so your wrists are in line with your shoulders. And then cross your right wrist over your left. Put your palms facing together, and you can interlace your fingers, or you can just keep your palms pressed into each other. And now imagine someone had a hold of your hands and was pulling your hands away from you. So you're sliding your shoulder blades apart. You're rounding your upper back, pulling those arms away from you. And then gently try to lower those shoulders away from your ears. So you're not crouching up here. You're rounding your spine, but you're giving your neck a lot of room to breathe. And then exhale, go ahead and shake them out. You can do a couple shoulder circles. And then go ahead and again bring those hands parallel to the ground. Cross your left wrist over your right. Palms facing together. You can interlace or keep your palms flat. And pull those shoulder blades apart. And bring your attention to that upper part of your back. Feel those shoulder blades sliding apart, pulling those hands away from you. So it's a little bit of work here. It's a stretch and it's a little bit of work. And then keeping those shoulder blades pulled away from each other. Go ahead and cross your arms a little bit more so your elbows are right on top of one another. And bring your arms back so you're giving yourself a nice big hug. And then just go ahead and massage. You can kind of pull those shoulder blades apart a little bit more. Keep the elbows in front of your chin. So the shoulder girdle area is all along here. It's all along these muscles that help keep your shoulder nice and stabilized, keep your shoulder protected, keeps it mobile. So we'll be working all along this back part, and we'll be being mindful of these side muscles as well. So we'll start in tabletop position. So we'll come to our hands and knees, and a little bit of alignment here. We want to make sure our wrists are right underneath our shoulders and our knees are right underneath our hips. And then take a quick peek behind you and make sure that you can't see your feet. Your toes should be hidden by your thighs. So our palms are on the ground. Our fingers are spread nice and wide. The eyes of the elbows are turned in towards each other. So this soft part in here on the inside of our arms, that part is turned inwards towards each other. Pressing the ground away with our hands. Really like pressing it away. I'm not quite sure how else to explain it, but just like imagine pushing it away, right? So you're pushing the ground away. The eyes of the elbows are turned in towards one another. And by pushing the ground away, you automatically start to feel your shoulder girdle rise up a little bit. So just bring your attention to that. Notice how when you push the ground away, you can feel your shoulder blades kind of replicate that stretch that we were doing earlier. They're sliding apart from one another, right? And just bring your attention there, breathing all the way down into your lower abdomen, pushing the ground away. And then pull the shoulder blades, engaging the side muscle right here. Pull the shoulder blades gently away from your ears. Sometimes it happens that we'll be pushing the ground away that we start to crowd our ears, and we don't want to compress the neck area. So pushing the ground away, we gently pull the shoulder blades back towards the butt. So we're finding a nice balance between pushing and pulling. So now with these two pushing and pulling motions, bring your attention back to that area. Feeling the strength and stability in your arms and your hands supporting you and your shoulders. And then inhale deep all the way into the lower abdomen. Notice your abs. Notice your lower back. And on that next exhale, engage your abdomen so your navel draws in towards your lower spine. And we're not trying to round the lower back here. We're not trying to get this kind of like flattened, rounded lower back. We're simply just trying to protect the lower back by engaging our cores, pulling that navel into the spine, engaging that pelvic floor so we have a nice, strong, stable back from our shoulders all the way to the top of our pelvis. Breathing all the way into this lower abdomen. Good. And then exhale, tilt back into a child's pose. You can let your head rest on the ground. And now bring your attention to your shoulders. So we want to be externally rotating our shoulders so the eyes of the elbows are going up towards the ceiling. So we're rotating the shoulders away from the ears. We're turning the armpits towards the ears, eyes of the elbows towards the ceiling, relaxing our chest down towards the ground. And then inhale, come back up to the tabletop. Again, engaging that shoulder girdle, pressing the ground away, drawing the shoulders down the back. Shoulders are right over the wrists, the fingers are spread nice and wide. Again, pushing the ground away, pull the shoulder blades back down the back, push the ground away so we have this nice curve in our upper back and our thoracic spine, and our lower back is protected, our navel is drawn in. Inhaling, feeling the stability, and exhaling, engaging the core, pushing the ground away. So now keeping our shoulders in this position, right? Pushing the ground away, pulling the shoulder blades back. We're going to keep our shoulder girdle stable while we tuck our toes. Take a deep inhale all the way into the tailbone, and exhale, push your knees up off the ground, tailbone up towards the ceiling, and push back into a down dog, keeping your shoulders sliding apart, pressing the ground away, pulling the shoulder blades back towards the tailbone, externally rotating the shoulders away from the ears, hands firmly pushing the ground away. Inhale, come forward, gently drop the knees back down towards the ground, and then exhale, come into a child's pose. And take a deep breath, allow your shoulders to relax. And then again, inhale, or spread the fingers nice and wide. Turn the eyes of the elbows up towards the ceiling, externally rotating the shoulder blades, feeling your shoulder blades slide apart. And now we're going to make our way into the down dog. So we're going to try to keep the same position with our upper body. So we're going to try to be mindful of our shoulders and our abdomen staying nice and tight and staying fully lengthened. So we'll inhale, tuck the toes, externally rotating the shoulders, making sure our shoulder girdle is nice and engaged. Inhale, bring the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Exhale, relax the heels towards the ground and press your chest towards your heels. Inhale, push the ground away with your hands, externally rotating your shoulders, pulling your shoulders towards your tailbone, but also keeping that feeling of pushing the ground away. Good. And then inhale, walk those feet to your hands and bend your knees. Allow your chest to rest on your thighs. Allow your head to hang heavy. And inhale and slowly raise up vertebrae by vertebrae. And then you can come to the top of your mat. If you have some bricks, then go ahead and grab those. If not, then no worries. You can use some books, or you can just use the ground. So we will now kind of move into focusing on another piece of down dog, and that is our legs and our lower half. So we kind of worked on up here and how we want that alignment to feel, and now we're going to work on the lower half. So while this isn't like exactly how it's going to feel in down dog, my hopes is that by kind of showing you this and demonstrating is that you can kind of bring your attention to it, is something to be mindful of while we're doing it. So we want to really protect our lower back in this pose and kind of all poses, because it's very vulnerable. So a lot of the times if we have tight hamstrings, then we might have some pain in our lower back because our hamstrings are attached to our sit bones and our lower back is attached to our sit bones as well. So because our thighs are so much bigger of a muscle than what's in our lower back, a lot of the times when we're stretching, the thighs will take over and make the lower back kind of compensate for the thighs not being as flexible or like willing to be as flexible in that moment. So one thing that we can do to kind of make sure that we're safely stretching and putting the stretch into our hamstrings instead of our lower back is to try to kind of turn your pelvis a little bit. So if you want to put your hands on your hips and kind of feel around in this lower back area, you can kind of feel the top of your hips, and then right below that ridge there's a kind of a little divot, a little bit of a hole. You can kind of place your thumbs there, and then up top you'll find like the little points at the top of the hips. Go ahead and place like your ring finger or your middle finger, whatever's finger is comfortable right there. So you have like a hold of your hips. And now imagine like you are holding a bowl of water, let's say. So your hips are like you're holding a bowl of water, and we're gonna tip the bowl of water out. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna tip, and we're gonna press forward with our thumbs, and we're gonna press backwards with our forefinger and our pointer fingers. So we have this nice deep concave in our lower back going on here. And then we're gonna pull our shoulder blades together, open up our chest. So now we have a concave in all of our back, nice and big. Inhaling all the way. There should be no pinching in your back, so if it's uncomfortable, go ahead and come out of it just a little bit. So we want this nice big concave. We're tilting the pelvis. You can use your thumbs to kind of help keep that position in your pelvis. And exhale and lean forward. Again, keeping your hands on your hips to kind of help keep your pelvis in that position. You should kind of already feel how much of a stretch it is right here on your hamstrings, and we don't need to go down that far to feel it, obviously. So that's what we're looking for. It's this nice deep stretch right here. Our lower back should be nice and straight. We don't want any of this rounding. We want nice straight lower back. Shoulder blades pulled back and slightly pulled down away from your ears. So go ahead and turn your pelvis with your hands. You can kind of feel your sit bones pointing straight back, as if someone had a string and was pulling your tailbone up towards the ceiling. So you're lengthening through your hamstrings. Good. And then exhale, keeping that nice straight back. Go ahead and lower those hands down to the bricks or the floor. And bring your attention back towards your pelvis. Feel the tailbone pulling up towards the ceiling. And spread your hands nice and wide. Keeping that position in your tailbone, go ahead and step back into a down dog, about 4 to 6 feet away from your hands, and press your chest back towards your heels down towards the ground. Pull the tailbone up towards the ceiling so you're mimicking that rotation of almost tilting the bowl of water out. So you feel your tailbone and your sit bones being pulled up towards the ceiling. And exhaling, relaxing your head. Inhaling, pressing the ground away. Feeling our shoulders engaged. Our shoulder girdle is strong. Feeling the lengthening and the stretching from our toes, our heels to our tail, from our tail to our shoulders and to our hands. Take a deep inhale all the way to the lower abdomen. Exhale, come forward onto your hands and knees. Untuck those toes and fold back into a child's pose. You can leave your hands on the bricks if it's still there. It's a nice little extra added stretch for you. You can relax your head down on the ground. Taking deep breaths, feeling your shoulder girdle, your rib cage expand open with each breath. Externally rotating those shoulders. And then inhale, gently come up into a seated position. So now we'll go through just a quick little flow. It's not really a short video anymore. My apologies. So we'll go through a short flow. The reason that we were using the blocks is because if we're ever feeling any tightness in our shoulders, using the blocks underneath our hands or some sort of something to raise the ground a little bit will help take some of the stretch and the pressure off of our shoulders. Likewise, if we're feeling like our hamstrings or our lower back is a little bit more tight, our legs in general, then placing the bricks on our feet and stepping on those will also help reduce kind of the stretch that you feel in some of those areas. And even if you are super flexible, it's kind of fun to do it anyway because it lets you work on the alignment and kind of get that down without having to do as much flexibility wise. So I just thought I would share that little tidbit of information because I like playing around with it and it's kind of fun. So with that, we'll come back into a tabletop position, hands right underneath the shoulder blade or the shoulders. Spread nice and wide, eyes of the elbows turned in towards each other. Pressing the ground away, engaging the shoulder girdle, feeling the rounding happening in the upper back, getting all situated. Gently pulling the shoulders away from the ears, finding that nice balance of pressing and pulling, pressing the ground away, pulling the shoulder blades back, and pressing and pulling the navel in towards the spine, protecting the lower back, keeping it nice and safe, keeping the stability in our shoulders. Tuck those toes underneath. Inhale, lift the tailbone straight up towards the ceiling. Exhale, press the chest back towards the heels, keeping the shoulders externally rotated, the shoulder girdles engaged, the hands are pressing the ground away, tailbone is going up towards the ceiling, pelvis is nice and tilted. We're feeling that nice deep stretch all along our hamstrings. Heels are going down towards the ground. Inhaling, pulling the tailbone towards the ceiling, pressing the ground away. Exhaling, allowing our chest to go towards our heels to go down towards the ground. Inhale, pull the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And exhale, tip forward into a high plank. And exhale, down into a chaturanga, hugging those elbows in. And you can take an up dog or a cobra, whatever you would like today. Whatever you are doing, be sure to pull those shoulder blades away from the ears, opening up that chest towards the ground. Take a nice deep inhale, tuck those toes, press up, hugging the elbows in towards the body, pressing back into a down dog, inhaling the tailbone up towards the ceiling, pressing the ground away. Exhale, put the heels towards the ground, the chest towards the heels. Inhale, walk the feet towards the hands. Inhale, bend the knees, roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way till the hands are up above our head. Inhaling, concaving the back, opening up the chest, pulling the shoulder blades down towards the butt. Exhale, keeping this nice straight back, reaching forward, hands go on the ground. Inhale, step back with the right foot. Exhale, sink down into the hips. Find your positioning with your hands pressing the ground away, eyes of the elbows in towards one another. Engage that shoulder girdle. Step back into a down dog, keeping your shoulders engaged. Exhale, press your chest towards your heels. Inhaling, pulling the tailbone up towards the ceiling, heels down towards the ground. Inhale, come forward into a plank, again into a chaturanga, and inhaling up into an up dog or cobra. Inhale, open up the chest. Exhale, relax the chest down towards the ground. And then tuck those toes. Press up, and we'll come all the way back into a child's pose. And then inhale, bring that left arm underneath your right, palm facing up towards the ceiling. You can kind of try to lay on your shoulder a little bit so you have some body weight helping stretch that shoulder blade away from your spine. Keep that palm facing up towards the ceiling. Inhaling, feeling the stretch all along the spine. And inhale, bring that hand up and switch with the other one. Inhaling, feeling the stretch, feeling the shoulder blade slightly away from the spine. Inhale, come up, back into a child's pose. And then you can bring your hands beside you and allow your shoulder blades to kind of fall alongside your thighs, alongside your knees. And inhale, feel the stretch, the rounding in the back. Thank you guys for joining me today. It was a pleasure getting to teach you virtually and in person. I hope you guys are all staying safe and well, and if you need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out to me personally. This is such a crazy time, and our community is so important, so stick together and we'll get through this. Namaste.